In my many years of supporting my community by answering questions about my mods, I realize a lot of people don't know how to ask questions or get help effectively. If you're struggling to get help, either because no one is replying or it takes a while to get a reply, this video may increase your chances of getting a better response. In this guide, I'll try to teach you how to ask questions more proficiently and get help with a higher quality. But before we start, a saying goes, a wise man's question contains half the answer. Let's start with basics. Don't ask useless questions. Useless questions are the ones that don't lead to a definitive answer. Don't ask questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. For example, if you ask, can I import a model into Blockbuster Mod? I could just say yes, you can. You didn't get an answer that you hoped for, but a yes is still technically answers your question, but it's useless. Wouldn't you agree? The type of question you ask, the type of answer you get. Instead, a simple trick to improve the question would be changing can I, or is there a way to how to, which can't be answered with simple yes and no, and will lead to some useful answers. From the same category as yes and no questions, don't bait attention when trying to ask a question. Questions such as is anyone here, can I get some help, and can I ask a question, can be all answered with a yes. On Discord server, subreddits, forums, that is any places that are meant for user support, those questions are annoying. Yes, there is always someone here. Yes, you can get help. Yes, you can ask a question. Instead, skip the formalities and just ask your question without waiting anyone to be around, because there is more chances that you'll get ignored for asking such questions than getting help, as it will annoy veteran helpers. Saying hello and waiting for someone to respond is also attention baiting, so don't do that. Go straight for the question, although you can throw a hello before the question. Once you learn to avoid useless questions, here are some tips to improve your questions. When asking a question about something you want to achieve, don't ask about a specific way that you think will let you achieve this. Instead, ask what exactly do you want to achieve. For example, a user wants to make actors go through walls by asking how to change its model so it would have no hitbox. There is no way to remove model's hitbox, so this didn't help the user, right? That's the issue with asking a wrong question. Instead, the question should have been just how do I make actors go through walls, and solution to that is much simpler than trying to remove model's hitbox. Some people ask for a specific way to achieve what they want, because they don't want their ideas to be stolen. However, by asking for a specific way, they won't get a better solution to their problem either. Let helpers do their job, because they may know an easier way. If your questions is confronted with more questions from helpers, that's not a good question. What can you do in such situations? Provide as much context as possible, more detailed descriptions, your thorough observations, screenshots, video clips of the issue, references, configuration files, logs, etc. Basically, the more complimentary information you give, the more chances you have to get an answer immediately, instead of getting bombarded by questions. Helpers are more encouraged to answer questions and help if you show the effort you put into asking a question. No one wants to deal with those it doesn't work help questions. Don't be lazy, show the effort, your findings, and that you care to solve your problem. I know that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words, but a screenshot on its own doesn't depict exactly what is the problem. Detailed description of what's wrong on the screenshot is important as well. Last but not least, before asking a question and putting effort into providing the context, make sure to Google it first. There are billions of people on this planet. Most likely out of all of these people, a couple might have had the same question as you have, so do us a favor and do a brief research. A tip: search engines work better on keywords, so also try removing irrelevant words from your query. Beside Googling, you could try using search on the forum, Discord, Slack, etc. Obviously only if there are such options. I think that's all I wanted to share. Hopefully this guide would help you ask questions and get help more efficiently. Before you click off the video, keep following things in mind. 1. Some of these tips probably won't work in real life. You would still need to follow formalities like hello, excuse me, how are you, etc. 2. Helpers don't owe you anything, so appreciate if you got a response, and don't get upset if you don't get a response. If you don't get a response, and your question was very well constructed and documented with lots of context, sometimes it may just happen that asking a question by itself is enough to find an answer. It happened to me on many occasions. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.